If you need everyone's approval to live, then you'll never truly live. Marcus Aurelius. There was a time I thought being loved meant being small, less intense, less opinionated, less honest. I wasn't lying, not really. I was just carefully curating my tone, my timing, even my silence, so I wouldn't scare them, so they'd stay. And for a while, it worked. People said I was easy to be around, kind, understanding, someone who gets it, someone who doesn't take up too much space. But what they didn't know was I was slowly vanishing. It's a quiet kind of pain, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that simmers under your skin, unseen, but always there. The pain of being liked for the wrong reasons. The pain of watching yourself edit yourself over and over again until you're not sure what the original version looked like. You become agreeable, pleasant, adaptable, and slowly forgettable. Because the version of you that stays in everyone's life is not the one that burns bright. It's the one that dims herself enough not to blind anyone. Last October, I flew to Portland for a short freelance job. I wasn't excited. I was just escaping the familiar, escaping the noise, escaping myself, maybe. The Airbnb was old but comforting, a second-floor apartment with wooden floors that creaked, like they had something to say. The kitchen had chipped tiles and there was a stack of old paperbacks in the corner, as if someone had once tried to understand themselves here. One afternoon, the rain was gentle enough to let you think. I agreed to meet someone I hadn't seen in years, someone I once bent myself around, someone I once loved with the kind of love that forgets where your voice ends and theirs begins. We sat across from each other at a cafe called Albina Press. The light was soft. The moment was familiar. She smiled and said, "You haven't changed. Still so gentle, so easy to be around." And I smiled back, because I knew how to. But this time, something inside me stirred. It wasn't anger. It was sadness. I wasn't being gentle. I was being careful. Careful not to bring up what really mattered to me. Careful not to disagree too much. Careful not to make her uncomfortable again. That night, I walking back through the wet streets alone. I didn't put in my earbuds. I didn't rush. I just listened to the sound of my own footsteps and realized how long it had been since I trusted their direction. I made tea, jasmine. I've always used tea to pretend I'm at peace. I sat on the old armchair near the window, watching the rain streak across the glass, like it was trying to wash something away. I opened my journal and wrote, "If I keep curating myself to be loved, one day even I won't know who I am." And I paused, because I realized this wasn't the first time I'd felt this. It was just the first time I had the courage to write it down. I closed the journal and stared into the cup, and a voice came up from somewhere deep. But what if this version of you is the only one anyone can love? It was quiet, familiar, sharp. The voice of fear, the one that wears your face but never wants you to be whole. I reached for a book I hadn't opened in months, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And as if by some strange mercy, my eyes landed on this. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. It hit like cold air, direct, clear, unapologetic. I realized something. I had spent most of my adult life silently arguing with the world by changing myself for it, trying to be good by their standards, which changed constantly. The Stoics didn't ask us to be nice. They asked us to be true, to live in alignment with our nature, to act in accordance with virtue, not to impress or appease. Epictetus once wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That quote used to terrify me. Now it feels like permission. Permission to be misunderstood, to not explain, to not dilute. Since that night, I've been trying something radical, telling the truth, not the aggressive kind, not the take me or leave me kind, but the quiet, steady, grounded kind. The kind that says, "Here I am. I might not be easy to love, but I am real." I've let go of some friendships, not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't keep playing a role just to stay in the room. I've sat in silence during conversations where I used to perform. I've allowed pauses to be awkward. I've allowed my truth to land, even when it landed poorly. And the strange thing is, the loneliness I feared, it didn't come. What came instead was space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to become. I still catch myself rehearsing, still soften my opinions, still worry I'll be too much. But now I notice it, and noticing is where change begins. I'm not perfect, I'm not fearless, but I'm honest, and that's a beginning. I no longer aim to be easy to love. I aim to be worth knowing, even if that knowing takes time, even if it's harder to accept. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather be alone in my truth than celebrated in a costume. If this speaks to you, if you've ever edited yourself just to be chosen, just to stay, just to not be left behind, then this space is for you. Subscribe to Bare Soul Notes. Here, we don't perform. We witness. We write. We remember who we are, slowly, painfully, truthfully. Because, as the Stoics remind us, it's not the world that must accept us. It's us who must stop rejecting ourselves. You were never too much. You were just too real for someone still hiding.